Some of the most complex effect shots involve the removal of the horseman's head.
Years ago, you got away with somebody dressed up in a suit, and they had fake shoulders that rested on top of their head. But if you look at it, the proportions of the horseman aren't quite right. His elbows are down towards his waist and things like that.
Instead, the filmmakers searched for a new way to convincingly create the headless effect. A special blue hood was created for the actor. The blue color is easily removed from the picture in the computer, leaving an empty hole. To fill in the space, a clean background plate was shot, but one element was still missing.
The horseman has a large cape and the collar that goes all the way around the back. So it was necessary to not only replace the background where his head would have been, but to also make a digital collar in the computer that was then matched to his movements.
The fact that we used a stunt person and literally erased his head, it plays like this is somebody that's living and breathing inside this outfit.
The horseman is coming down!
The horseman continues his reign of terror on the residents of Sleepy Hollow, at one point trapping Ichabod and Katrina in an abandoned windmill.
To the roof! I have an idea.
Burton saw this as an unusual location in which to stage a pursuit.
Would you lean a little bit so you're that side of her?
Yeah.
My only image of windmills is like from the original Frankenstein, in a sense where it's somewhat symbolic of your mind somehow. I'm not quite sure how or why, but maybe it's just sort of the aimlessly spinning quality that represents my mind.
There isn't any windmill that looks like our windmill. The sails are just pure Tim Burton bat wings. There's a wonderful kind of shattered, abandoned mill feel to it, and I love the way it looks.
At over 5 stories high, the windmill set was too large to fit on any soundstage, so it was constructed outdoors.
We had to build this from scratch. The blades are about 1 ton each, so the whole thing, you're probably looking at about 4 or 5 tons. And the blades are controlled by a hydraulic motor, which we can operate from offset.
Let's start rotation, please. Start rotation. We ready?
Great.
Rolling. 2, take 1. A and B cameras, come on, mark. Action!
The actors themselves would be riding the sails.
I don't have a great amount of experience with action, so for me it's fun, you know. It's a lot easier than learning your lines, I guess.
We had flaming sticks being shot down directly on top of us. They just filled this like funnel kind of thing, this huge funnel with sticks with flammable glue, and then they brought it up on a crane and they lit it on fire like above the camera, and we're like running.
To create the Sleepy Hollow score, Burton reunited with Danny Elfman, who composed the soundtracks for Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Edward Scissorhands, and Batman.
One of the nice things working with him is he never really talks in musical terms. He'll always talk in terms of how something makes him feel.
The strings should come right up. They should get very emotional right away.
These types of films are something that's more of a feeling than it is a verbalization. I think that's the power of horror movies, is that they hit you on an emotional level.
Once I saw the footage and the surreal quality of the landscape, to me the landscape dictated so much. I was often in Tim's films. I knew pretty early on that it was going to be heavy, yet I knew because it was Tim there was going to be fun. I've been having a bit of fun with some of the low stuff. The scene where the horseman breaks into the family's house is quite chilling. I knew I wanted it to be intense, I knew that I would really enjoy that. And I did.
Determined to solve the mystery at all costs, Ichabod attempts to enlist the townspeople to search for clues.
Gentlemen, I need able men to go with me into the western woods. Who's with me?
The western woods just outside of town are a place that no one goes to. It's haunted. It's dark, twisted, the work of the devil. So the look of the film really gives you that impression of what it would be for the people who live in Sleepy Hollow, a place they don't go. It looks like poison.
The western woods were constructed on one of the largest sound stages in the world, which gave the filmmakers total control over the elements.
Smoke at the back, please.
We're dealing with atmosphere, smoke, fog, which are much easier to control on stage. And just the type of look that we wanted to get in terms of those old-fashioned horror movies where the stage look is part of the fabric of it.
Building the western woods, that was an enormous task in and of itself because we weren't creating a real forest. What we were doing was getting sort of a fierce thicket of trees.
When I saw it, I mean, just, it's so beautiful and everything's so intricate.
Amazing. It takes over a whole stage. It's mysterious, it's deep, it's up and down hills. All the trees are dead.
Quick pace.
We really created the scary woods feeling that you get in the Grimm's fairy tales, where the little child in you is afraid to go into the woods.
The centerpiece of the forest is the horseman's resting place, a gateway between this world and the netherworld.
The Tree of the Dead. It does announce itself.
The Tree of the Dead is like a beautiful sculpture. It's very emotional. It's kind of enormous, gnarled thing. So it gives the impression that it's gonna reach out and snatch you up, you know, swallow you.
And Ichabod at one point finds a suture in the tree, and he sees a little trickle of what he thinks is sap, and ends up becoming blood.
The tree bleeds?
And he takes an axe to it, breaks it wide open, and he finds these heads.
One of the film's most startling effect sequences involved the horseman's emergence from his resting place.
What we are seeing here is a blue screen element of a horse and rider, which we're going to put in a shot of the horseman exiting the tree, which is essentially a gateway to hell. This is a background element to be used in this shot. It has the actors in the scene, but there's no horse or horseman. The next element that we're seeing here is an element of fog for this plate, both foreground and background fog. Also, he's kicking up a lot of leaves and things into the air. And in this shot, we didn't have a blue screen shot of an actual horse to use, so we had to create a horse in the computer as well as the headless horseman. So those are both digital elements in this shot. In addition to that, we wanted to have fog that's being disturbed by the horse and the rider as they come through the fog. And here's the final shot with all the elements put together. Here we can see the leaves being blown by the horse and rider, which were from the blue screen plate. You can also see in a subtle way the fog is being disturbed by the horseman as he rides through.
Ichabod?
For all of its horror, Sleepy Hollow also showcases Burton's distinctive sense of humor.
Do you know of the horseman, Mom? That'll be him, ma'am.
I don't know if any other director would have made this movie as tongue-in-cheek as he's sort of making it. And that just works so much better.
I think humor is very important to Tim. He's in fact a very funny guy.
Ready for a little blood test?
Tim, I think anytime it's possible to splatter Johnny with blood, he, takes the opportunity very happily.
It's bleeding.
There's a great sense of humor and enjoyment on the set. He seems to enjoy everything so much, and that relaxes everybody.
He really loves making movies, and he gets excited about it, and seeing him get excited about it makes you excited about it.
Shut over! 144, Apple, take 6.
Action.
The film features a number of action set pieces.
We've done a hell of a lot of action. We've got all kinds of sword fighting. We have a fantastic sequence down in the church, and we'll be flying another guy out through the window.
Sir, you're not dead.
Not yet. It's a really brutal, really physical, really intense movie.
Where are we going? Anywhere but here.
One of the most complex scenes was a coach chase through the western woods.
The horseman is chasing Ichabod, Katrina, and young Maspat through the forest, which we built on the stage.
The scene would take 3 weeks to shoot. Planning for the numerous stunts began several months earlier when the horses went into training.
This is Daredevil. This is the lead horse. And we've got 2 of these that we've purchased from Seville in Spain. And they're just in the process now of having all the tricks taught them, the rears, the lay down, the gallop on the spot and everything else. It takes 2 years to train horse properly for a film. But these boys are good. They've got brains, these Spanish horses. They're good to work with.
Stand by to rehearse.
Several coaches were designed specifically for the film, each with a different purpose.
I've had to build 4 different coaches. The hero one has got brakes and it's got steering inside. We beef all the suspension up, we've made roll cages in it. And then there's the stunt one, there's the pyro one, and then there's the crashing one. Oh, 5 actually, there's one on the back of a flatbed truck, so we can actually put the artists on it and have them run up and down the set.
The range of stunts would include sword play, coach transfers, and elaborate falls.
And then a bit of that wobbling thing with a leg over.
Nick Gillard, the stunt coordinator, is just fantastic. What's great about him is that he has a great sense of humor, and he allows that to sort of creep into his stunts.
Ichabod!
He's been knocked off the top of the coach and lands on the horseman's horse, but he lands on it the wrong way round.
It's the kind of stuff that the audience would be riveted to, and then something happens that's very funny. It's got a real life to it.
For Depp, the most physically demanding part of the sequence occurred after he is thrown from the coach.
They said take hold of this strap of leather and the horses are going to drag you, you know.
Here we go.
We don't want anything to happen to Johnny, so we put him in like bulletproof body armor underneath his costume. We tie him on, but through a quick release system, just in case anything goes wrong, he can release himself.
Stand by. Turn over. Action.
It wasn't a problem being dragged by horses. The only thing I was slightly leery of was that they might, you know, sort of relieve themselves on the journey.
If you are wise, you will leave this place. We are dealing with a madman.
Sleepy Hollow is a combination of horror, nightmare, and humor.
Good luck, sir. If you need me help, you call my name. Much appreciated.
It's tongue-in-cheek, at the same time scary.
Horseman!
There's action, and there's romance, and the darkness and the spookiness of a great old horror film. You got everything you need here.
Whatever you hear, keep away.
It's fun to work on something that inspired you your whole life.
No!
The power of fairy tales, folk tales, and horror movies is that if they're working, they hit you on an emotional level, and the best thing that could come out of it is sort of a great haunted feeling that's strong and remains with you.